So the GOP debt ceiling plan would cut SNAP benefits. And unfortunately, there are people who don't have anything in their refrigerators, on top of a growing problem at our largest retail giant, Walmart, and SNAP benefits being no longer available at Walmart. We're going to talk about that, as well as the weather, because these windows are extremely foggy and condensation. Like, what's happening?
Because it's cold inside and hot outside.
Oh, okay. So now we're finally getting to the point where we're waking up to hotter mornings. This climate is changing rapidly. Millions of households are struggling to afford food as they face decreases in monthly assistance after the expiration of the added benefits earlier this year. And we're anxiously awaiting the Treasury, the Congress in general, the president himself, to figure out what's going to happen with this debt ceiling, because apparently bills will not be paid, people will not be paid, employees will not be paid, and other government assistance programs will face cuts and delays and ultimately cause even more problems for people during a time of high inflation and recession. Proposed GOP cuts to SNAP could leave millions food insecure as the nation rapidly approaches the debt ceiling deadline, and this could result in a catastrophic default. The House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, and House Republicans have laid out a plan that could ultimately cut many off from federal food assistance. A plan which includes $4.5 trillion in spending cuts and would raise the age limit for SNAP work requirements from 50 to 56. If signed into law, this could affect nearly 1 million Americans between the ages of 50 and 55.
So it passed the House already, but the odds that it will pass the Senate, in my opinion, are very, very small because of how negatively it would affect the older population.
Yeah, but even still, if we don't have a new budget, there's going to be huge red alerts, flashing warning signs everywhere, as basically the government's going to have to shut down.
It's always been interesting to me that we're having trouble finding money to pay our own stuff and pay our own people, but we had $80 billion, was it,
we've crossed well beyond 80 billion.
Oh, I know. But we have plenty to send everywhere else. And so then instead we struggle here with our own people, taking care of our own people. But the same people sitting in the House, sitting in the Senate, and sitting in the White House are making hand over fist in money.
Well, before we get too off track here, because we have to have another conversation later on, but just wait until Title 42 expires.
I know which one that is.
Just wait till that expires.
Okay.
Because then we're going to see even more spending while these migrants are being managed. We'll use the word managed. I saw a video. They were like, all these buses and all this military, armed forces, soldiers, like all this personnel. It's money being spent, okay? And meanwhile, the people in this country, the citizens of this country, get the shaft.
Yeah.
All for this, possible resolution to solve a problem that could probably be easily solved, but somehow, some way continues to be a big problem. So those who don't meet the minimum work hour requirements are limited up to 3 months of benefits every 3 years. So if, you fall into this category, you're only going to get 3 months of food stamps every 3 years. But it gets worse. Legislation in March that would impose stricter work requirements would make it harder for some Americans to receive food stamps in general. With more than 10 million people, 1 in 4 SNAP participants would be at risk of losing their food assistance benefits under this proposal, losing the benefits. While most families are already struggling to afford food as it is, many across the nation already struggling to afford food for their children since the end of the pandemic era supplemental benefits, which was like a boost. While some states let their increased benefits expire early, some states let it expire early. Why would they do that? 32 states lost their increased SNAP pandemic fund benefits in March.
Well, I would think those that I don't know if it expired earlier. The ones that lost in March, maybe it's because they had too many people on it, so they hit their limit faster than other states.
It says let. It says let expire. Like they chose.
Oh, they chose.
It says let expire early.
Well, because the state probably wanted to use the money for other things.
Parents Together Action, a nonprofit parent and family advocacy group that represents more than 3 million families, found that most households are already struggling to feed their children just 1 month after the benefits expired in all U.S. states. It only took 1 month, which would mean that would be a clear indication that maybe the system should be adjusted for that. If that was the difference in just 1 month. 63% of parents said that they found it hard to make ends meet, and 68% said having food on the table was their biggest challenge since the benefits expired. No doubt families are struggling. Losing the boosted SNAP benefits has already hurt them, and the fact that right now Congress is thinking about cutting SNAP even more is really just ridiculous. And just points out the fact that they really are out of touch with what families need. None of them have probably, ever faced food insecurity.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And I mean, you talk about generational wealth, there's nothing wrong with it. But, when you think about generational wealth and nepotism, a lot of these positions, these politicians, these folks are born into this and are ultimately trying to create bills and proposals and vote and pass laws on issues they know nothing about. 44% of parents can no longer afford enough food for their households, and 37% of parents reported they have had to skip meals to feed their children. 53% of families who faced a decrease in SNAP benefits said last month that they now needed to rely on food banks or similar services, which we know those would be depleted rapidly, especially as more and more families are now utilizing these food banks and other services. In a sense, it feels kind of embarrassing for some. But for those who are in these situations, they're thinking to themselves, I'm not the only one that's struggling right now. Does that make it any better? Knowing that you're not the only one?
Maybe for that person, it makes them feel better knowing they're not the only one. But overall, it's not any better. That just means that we have too many people struggling.
Single mother of 3 says her SNAP benefits were stolen days after she received them. So not only do we have the challenges of Congress and the debt ceiling and proposals from Republicans and Democrats, changes to the food stamp, supplemental nutrition assistance program, food insecurities, the benefits are being stolen. And this woman says that her balance went from $678 down to $17 only 2 days after she received her benefits. So she called the Texas Health and Human Services and filed a report with the Houston police, who both told her there's not much we can do. Yeah.
For some reason, that isn't covered by anyone or anything. Just like if you were to send like a cashier's check or a money order out, there's nothing. Just as if you were to send cash in a card. That's why they say never send cash through the mail. There's no recourse if it gets lost, if it gets taken, if it's whatever.
It's technically a federal offense to mail cash.
All these grandparents out there breaking the law every birthday.
There was a story
every Christmas
of small business owners, and they sent cash to some some service that was supposed to be helping them with marketing and advertising. It was a scam, regardless.
Yeah.
But then it got flagged, and they had two options. The first option was to plead guilty and face charges of potential money laundering, or deny.
How do they get caught sending cash?
FedEx.
Why is FedEx looking through their things?
Why are they not?
So FedEx runs things through like the airport kind of security system, I guess?
Probably. I mean, probably. I would guess. Probably.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure how
So
that works.
the United States Postal Service doesn't do that, because I've gotten cash and cards before.
Well, this was like 10,000. Like, this is a large sum of money.
So that makes sense.
It's like a lot of money.
That makes sense.
So it was like, look, you can say it's yours, and we will prosecute, and we're going to tag you with money laundering. Although they probably weren't, and they could hire a lawyer and go through the process and clear their name, which would cost them a lot of money. Or get this, the best one was they can deny it and walk away.
Who gets the money then?
They don't.
I know they don't, so who does? It's not like FedEx gets to keep it, so the government just go in there and take your $10,000, put it in their pocket as hush money, and walk away.
It was ATF, or it was FBI, or whoever it was they were going to take it.
No shady dealings there whatsoever. Got it.
But regardless,
all on the up and up.
Staying on track here, the situation with food stamps and theft leaves many families wondering what they will do next, leaving them frustrated and angry, putting them in a deep, dark place. This woman says that she was in Sam's trying to buy some stuff for her kids, and when she swiped her card, it was declined. She said, there's no way that can be right. And then it said she only had $17.33 left on her account. Called the Texas Health and Human Services, the state agency that regulates SNAP benefits, and learned someone made multiple transactions with their card at a Walmart in Flower Mound, Texas, over 200 miles away. They used $645 and left me with only $17. Now, she asks the question, how am I supposed to feed my whole family off of $17 for the whole month? How is that even possible?
I have another question. How did they use her SNAP benefits at Walmart without the card?
Good question. Now, the SNAP officials told her, again, there's nothing that they can do. But either SNAP or Walmart, not sure which one it is, or maybe it's a conjunction, maybe it's both, maybe it's some sort of team effort, started noticing it was happening often. And this could be with the skimmers. This could be with cameras looking down. Shoot, you think about, you could put hidden cameras, these little tiny cameras anywhere.
Yeah.
But what if people are going into stores in different places and placing cameras around, and they can even get a wireless feed? They don't even have to come back and get the cameras.
Yeah. Well, that's why whenever we go places and I pay with a card, I make sure that the card number is down, face down. And as much as I don't love doing it, if they have you pay at the table wherever you are, like the scan the QR code, whatever, I will pick that sometimes because it means my card is staying in my possession instead of
difference
traveling.
Being your card would be, it has added protection and security versus EBT.
Yeah.
Now, Illinois, the lawmakers in Illinois are debating a measure to reimburse benefits skimmed from people who need financial help buying food, opposed to Texas. Texas says, look, there's nothing we can do. Illinois is like, maybe. But ultimately, they're not. They're trying to develop a plan and a strategy, but at this point in time, they are not. A cashier tried to ring up the groceries with what's called a link card. She thought she had more than, get this, $3,000 in federally funded SNAP benefits to buy food and purchases. The purchases wouldn't go through. She was left with 12 cents.
Oh, wow.
She was confused, asking, what are you talking about? hearing a line of customers snickering behind her, laughing. I was mad. I was confused. After I turned around and I saw the line, very embarrassed. You think anybody in that line offered to help?
Doubtful. For some reason, people have this thought process that if you're using WIC or SNAP or whatever else, that you're lazy. Most people aren't taking into consideration the numerous reasons somebody would be on those benefits.
Says that she wasn't working at the time and said she had been saving her food benefits to make sure she could keep feeding her family, which includes 3 children, in case her husband lost his part-time job. She discovered that someone allegedly spent more than $3,000 of her food benefits at a small corner store she says she's never been to. And it was only about 4 miles away from her home in South Lawndale on the west side, which sucks. I mean, these are local people you've probably seen
Screwing you over
in your neighborhood, taking money, taking food out of your mouth, taking food out of your pantry, empty shelves, food shortages experienced at home because of thieves. SNAP, short for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and formerly known as food stamps, is a federal program that aims to help low-income families buy food. And in Illinois, roughly 2 million residents, or 1 in 6, received SNAP benefits in 2022, according to reports and stats and figures. More than 2/3 of recipients were in families with children. So that means children are going hungry. And they receive a monthly amount of money based on need. This year, each Illinois household member is estimated to receive an average just under $200 a month, which is pennies, like it's peanuts. But this is part of a wave of low-income people who have gotten caught up in a nationwide skimming spree or scam of SNAP benefits that started to spike last year. Like, it didn't spike until we started destroying the economy. The federal government is reimbursing people whose benefits were stolen in certain instances, but that may not cover all, whereas the states like Texas and Illinois are basically telling them there's nothing they can do. But again, these entities, these organizations, these agencies, these government agencies could potentially disappear. They could be temporarily closed or experience drastic cuts and layoffs because of the debt ceiling proposal or crisis that we are rapidly approaching the deadline of not being able to pay these bills, which means that anybody who needs these benefits would not have any way of receiving them or any support until that was resolved, depending on the course of action they choose to take. California, one of the most handout-friendly states. Will you get extra food stamps in California? They like to. I mean, if you're going to be, reliant on the government, California may be the place to be. Arguably the most widely used and highly dependent upon type of benefit in California and the United States in general is food stamps, with millions receiving them throughout C-19 and afterwards.
Now, California may have trouble affording the benefits because they just passed reparations in California.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that's, yeah. You know the total?
So I don't know the total money they have allotted to it, but basically I was looking and it was showing that if you happen to be a Black individual, African-American individual, however you want to phrase it, living in California from like the 20s and up, you can get a certain amount of money per year. And if you've lived there your whole life, you would end up with $1.2 million.
Who gonna pay that?
It's coming out of taxpayers, California taxpayers. It's coming out of whatever taxes they pay in. So instead of that money going to fix roads and whatever else, or SNAP benefits, it's going to go to reparations.
They're going to be selling a lot of Jordans and Hellcats over there if they get that money.
That's just so stupid.
Increases to the amount that people are able to receive in these food stamps were made to accommodate the prolonged effects of the pandemic and then the rising cost of living at the tail end of 2022 and the beginning of this year. Meanwhile, many families have been left confused about how long they can expect to receive the increased food stamps. But unfortunately, there will be no increase handed out in May of 2023, as changes have already been made to the CalFresh program. Sorry, California. The U.S. Department of Agriculture's Food and Nutrition Service issued a statement on its website to explain to people why the extra food stamps were being taken away at this particular time. Maybe it's because of this reparations. They got to shift that money around. But the statement read that SNAP emergency allotments were a temporary strategy authorized by Congress to help low-income individuals and families deal with the hardships of C-19 pandemic. The Consolidated Appropriations Act 2023 law passed recently by Congress ends emergency allotment after February of this year. So this means as early as March, all SNAP households benefits will return to normal amounts without the added supplement. Affecting states early, like Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, and Nebraska, North Dakota, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, and Wyoming. And for those of you who are on the program, there are questions and answers here as far as maybe how to protect or maybe also how some of these benefits are being stolen. Mm-hmm. Whereas the EBT, Electronic Benefit Transfer Card, is a form of payment used to distribute United States government benefits to individuals and families who are eligible for various assistance programs. The plastic debit-like card that is issued by the government to recipients who qualify for the benefits, the EBT cards are used to distribute benefits for various programs, including SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Yet, it is possible to add it to your Apple Pay. Yeah, you can add the card to your Apple Pay. However, it's important to note that not all states and government assistance programs that offer EBT benefits currently support the use of Apple Pay or other mobile payment systems. But if you can put it on Apple Pay, that is going to exponentially increase the ability to skim and transfer these funds and use them all over the country. Mm-hmm. However, if your EBT card is eligible for use with Apple Pay, you can add it to the Wallet app on your iPhone or other compatible device. Do you think EBT recipients have iPhones? I mean, iPhones are expensive.
Yeah, I think it doesn't mean that they bought it. It could have been given to them.
Like the government gives iPhones to the people who cross the border? No, I'm talking
about like when you gave your mom an iPhone.
Oh.
Things like that. When
somebody told me that the government gives immigrants, like migrants, like they feed them, they take them to Martha's Vineyard, they give them iPhones.
I don't think it works like that.
Once your EBT card is added to your Apple Pay, you can use it to make purchases at retailers that accept Apple Pay. Simply hold your phone or your iPhone or other compatible device near the payment terminal and authorize a payment using Touch ID or Face ID. Well, maybe if you got Touch ID and Face ID, then you can help protect your EBT benefits, because unless they steal your face, unless it's like that movie Face Off, maybe you'll be protected. Thank you guys for watching. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. New videos and live streams published today to help you guys make money, save, and invest. Follow us on Instagram, links there for all of our other channels and socials. Join us on Patreon for even more content. We will see you guys real soon.
Bye.